like technology and engineering, you were telling me an hour ago.
And science and maths.
Science and maths, yes, and there we go. Yeah, we've got that. We'll have a look at what you've dug out of the inside pages in a moment. First, let's have a look at the front pages of the newspapers. We can start with the Observer.
There you go.
What have we got here? Oh, perfect. Yeah. You've teed it up for me.
Glad I came in today.
What a service. So the Observer leading on the same story as we are this morning, this whole issue of NHS funding. The Prime Minister unveiling this £20 billion a year boost to NHS spending, as the Observer puts it. The Prime Minister is on the Andrew Marr Show here on BBC One in what, about 40 minutes' time.
Yeah, and guess what's the front page of the Mail? This has all been timed very well, hasn't it? Of course, the same story. They're saying Theresa May bets the public will be willing to face tax hikes for better care in the future. They're saying an extraordinary £20 billion a year boost.
Take a look at the Sunday Times. I've picked this one up myself.
Well done.
Thank you very much. I thought I'd put a bit of effort in.
Yeah, go on.
Stretch the muscles a little bit. So, yeah, front page story, you can see there. Under 5% of all burglaries and robberies are solved, according to the Sunday Times, saying that there is a crisis in the nation's policing exposed by their figures.
Yeah, and the last front page we're going to show you here is actually the Sunday People, and it has a picture of Charlotte Caldwell and her son Billy. We spoke to Charlotte just within the last 40 minutes or so, saying how pleased she's been that now Billy's been given his cannabis oil back. Of course, he has a particular type of epilepsy, benefits very much from being treated with cannabis oil, and she's been talking about how grateful she is to have it at least for another 20 days.
So let's dive into the inside pages and see what you've dug out. We can take a look at the Sunday Telegraph first. This is a story on page 3. Well, this is a theme, isn't it, that we come back to regularly at the moment. The kind of makeup, whether it be in business or in arts or in journalism, in so many areas of public life, in terms of the extent to which they're reflecting society at large.
Exactly. So this is Nhs, who is an opera singer and is fronting this diversity campaign that they're doing to just ensure that we have more equality across kind of performers and across the field, but a kind of a message to those who are fearful of being too stale, male and pale to succeed now. And her message is, you know, you may have had a seat, but there are others who haven't had those seats, and this isn't about you being overthrown and not being able to get those opportunities, but more about opening it up and allowing others to maybe also have a seat next to you alongside this performance. So it's, you know, looking at equality in something like opera, which again, we may not have spoken about recently. You know, I talk about science and there's all kinds of different things, but within the arts, also making sure that we've got that balance.
Tricky, isn't it? Because opera particularly is just seen as so posh and elitist.
Exactly.
How do you get normal people involved?
This is it, and opening it up, allowing them, at least people feeling like they've got a chance if they've got that, and not kind of snubbing them because they don't look like what, you know, an opera singer looks like from the limited representation that we have. So, yeah, very important work.
The next story you picked, I could have written this headline myself. I could have predicted this. Pollen. We're not looking at that little dog. We're looking at the headline.
Is it a dog? It's not a dog.
Is it, what,
no, it's a hyena.
It's a hyena, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Close.
Yeah. Same family.
Yeah,
wolf.
close enough.
Yeah.
2 eyes.
Particularly nasty-looking dog. Pollen's the highest in 12 years. Everybody's got hay fever at the moment.
Even if you don't normally have it, you do. Yeah. So yeah. It's you know, it's not something that's kind of gone wrong, or that, you know, it's not just you.
It's not just me.
No, and it's going to get worse next week. Highest pollen count for 12 years. Yeah, the combination of weather that we've had means that it's kind of ripe for the picking. So the suggestions here are close your windows and don't spend too long outside, which I don't know.
It's a bit miserable, isn't it?
Yeah, but get ready. You know, PSA for everyone. It's coming this week.
Get your antihistamines ready.
Exactly.
I want to know what the dogs look like around your part. Should we do a compare and contrast?
Quite scary.
This next story does involve a dog. I can say with a reasonable amount of confidence the picture in this, I think this is a Mail on Sunday story, isn't it? About the bulldog.
Now this is significant.
Yes, I was going to say the British bulldog, but
it's a French bulldog.
Yeah,
yes,
the French bulldog.
The French bulldog, for the first time in almost 30 years, is now our top dog.
Instead of
the Labrador. Yes.
So the French bulldog has officially overtaken the Labrador as Britain's favourite dog,
as per registrations for the first 3 months of this year, and it's a rise of 24%.
Is that because they're cute and trendy?
It's a trendy, it's a trend thing. They're also lovable and you know, they fit a lot of people's lifestyles of those who live in cities.
Everybody wants a small... I have to say, I got a smaller dog. I've got a Cavapoo, and she's been here on the sofa. She sat on my knee while I read the news, and she literally is that big. She's cute, she runs around, but she'll also sit still and be really well behaved.
Yes.
And I guess that's one of the advantages of having a little dog, isn't it?
Maybe, although Frenchies, they say, are stubborn, so I don't know if they... there's well
and
behaved.
They're controversial as well, aren't they? Because some of them can't breathe particularly well. Vets don't like them that much.
Sound
because
almost asthmatic, aren't they?
Yeah, they have real breathing problems.
Because of the way that we've bred them.
Yeah, so they're very trendy, but they're not particularly popular within the veterinary community.
Exactly, yeah. So...
I feel like I've learned quite a lot.
There you go, dog correspondent.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a hyena, wasn't it?
Let's take a look at the Sunday Mirror, and you pulled out a story here about Frank Bruno.
Library cash.
Oh, library
Yes,
cash. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong story.
Oh, I thought it was Frank as well.
Congratulations to Frank. He's going to be a grandfather, 2 in 1.
I thought you were talking about Frank. That's a great picture.
It is Father's Day, though, so I guess we should do that kind of shout out to fathers. And
Happy
to my
Father's Day to all the dads everywhere.
Happy Father's Day.
And so there's no connection between Frank Bruno and a library, but this is about library funding. Let's talk about library funding.
About library funding and how it is being cut. Under the Tories, we're down £330 million. Pounds of funding for libraries. I was at the British Library earlier this week, kind of talking to them about a lot that they're doing and expanding and working with libraries across the country and ambitions that they've got. But you know, it's this kind of underfunding resource that we're losing out on. And libraries, you know, are a centre. They're a great place for knowledge, especially now in what we call the digital age. Not everyone has access to all these resources, and libraries are a fantastic free resource that we have, and we should really be putting more in and allowing them to broaden the scope of what they do.
It's that strange thing with libraries, that you can have big chunks of your life, certainly in my experience, where you might not go anywhere near a public library, and then I've got a little 2.5-year-old, and suddenly in the last few years
You're
I've been back into them, probably for the first time since I was a teenager, and you realise how important a resource they are.
And what is there, and to the point of moving forward, there's the British Library's IP Centre, which is for anyone that wants to start a business, and they've got access to all these amazing resources that they're making available across the country. And so it's not just necessarily for children for reading or for yourself, but even if you're starting a business, head to your local library, go and get some support.
My local library in the village that I live there's a campaign to keep it open under threat of closure.
Exactly.
I'm sure lots of people watching this morning are in the same
it's fallen between
position.
The cracks.
Exactly. And I think we've got mentionitis, about the Home Secretary this morning. So Javid, talking about queuing to get into the country.
To get back into the country after Brexit. So there was this notion that maybe we'll have UK-only queues and then kind of EU queues and rest of the world or whatever it might be. And they've worked out that it's going to be too much for us to have our own queue when we come back into the country. Which is a little bit of a kind of a downer after you've come back from holiday. You still are in the queue with others even when you're coming back in. So I don't know. I felt like I had to mention Love Island. I haven't been watching it, but there was kind of Hayley, I love my holidays, and this is a little bit of a other unintended consequences perhaps.
Thank you for coming in this morning. Appreciate it. As you say, Sajid Javid is making his mark as Home Secretary, and certainly making his mark on our programme this morning. Good to see you.
Thanks,
Thank
you.
Thanks.
Coming up in the next half hour, as England prepare to kick off their World Cup journey, we're joined by former Executive Director of the FA, David Davis, to assess their chances.
Do stay with us, the headlines are coming right up.
When I grow up, I want to be a striker. Fly half,